everyone, it's Holly, and I recently read or reread most of the books in the Spindle Cove series. There's only one I haven't read, I believe. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to review the series for you. So really quick, like I usually do in these series reviews, is I will go over the books and the ratings that I gave them. So the first book in the series, ooh, geez, dropping things already, is A Night to Surrender, and I gave this 4 stars. And then there is a novella that is called, let's see, Once Upon a Winter's Eve, which I gave 5 stars. And then you have A Week to Be Wicked, which I gave 4.5 stars. And then A Ladybed Midnight, which also got 4 stars, like the first book. Then there's Beauty and the Blacksmith, which is another novella, and I gave that 3 stars. There's Any Duchess Will Do, which I gave 4 stars. And then there is a novella I have not read, which is Lady Dashwood Missed Out. And then there is a book I have not read as well, and that is Do You Want to Start a Scandal? 4 of them, and I really consider like the first 3 to be like the main chunk. I don't know like what her contract was for or anything, but to me those always felt like the ones that were like the primary works, and then the rest were just like, oh, sequel bait, let's go for it, you know? Not a complaint, just an observation. So I feel like I didn't mention this. These are by Tessa Dare. They are historical romances, and I would consider them small town historicals, which is like a sort of subgenre I like, and if you have any suggestions for small town historicals, send them my way. They're also pretty funny, and they have strong, independent, multi-dimensional female characters, and male characters, but, you know. Spindle Cove is the place where they primarily take place, or kind of where, like, the inciting actions take place a lot of times. It's also called Spinster Cove because it's where women who, like, are lacking in some way or make a mistake, you know, mistakes in life, get sent. And so it's primarily a woman-run town, like they override the town basically. It's also pretty light on the ballroom for the most part. There's some that tend to have a little bit more of that, but in general I would say it's light on the ballroom, which I know some people prefer historicals without the ballroom scenes. I personally don't really care either way. They are also very heavy on female friendship. Where are you? In A Night to Surrender, the main character in here is Susanna or Susanna. Susanna is kind of like the ringleader alpha female in Spindle Cove, and she definitely is like girl power and everything, and so she definitely encourages female friendships and relationships, and these relationships occur across like social bounds and everything like that, which I always think is fun to read about. And then there's some pretty heavy sequel bait in these. Like, there's actually one scene where like people just like show up in like a carriage and just walk out, and they're just walking out like, hi, I'm sequel bait, hi, I'm sequel bait. So, you know, I personally like the sequel bait, and you go back to the characters that you know as well, that you meet in early books, you see them later in further books, which I also am a big fan of. So I want to talk about who would like this series, because I'm not going to go into each book in particular. I'm just kind of talking broadly about it. So I think if you like pretty trope heavy stories, that you would like this. I've said this before, I will say it again, I will say it forever probably. I like tropes. I think tropes are great. They're a good way to know if you're going to like a book or not, and these definitely are trope heavy, but they're done very well. I think that's the important thing about writing with tropes, is you have to do it well. And if, say, you read small town contemporaries like a Jill Shalvis book, but you maybe wanted to broaden your horizons into something like a historical, I think this might be a good starting place for you, because it's got that small town feel, like that gossipy, everybody knows everybody kind of a thing, but it is a historical. I also think it might work for somebody who likes Julia Quinn kind of books. They remind me a lot of her writing, and just that they're can be some danger, but generally the stakes are kind of lower and you don't have to worry too much. There's not a ton of angst, even when you would think, hearing about these characters, that they might be angst-ridden. Like the first book, the hero is damaged from like a war wound, and there's kind of several stories like that, like where, or parts of these characters' personalities that could lead to like super angsty things, but it's not that angsty. And so that is all I really have to say. I really enjoyed this series. I'm glad that I was reading it again. I had actually never read the one novella, the Upon a Winter's Eve or whatever. I had never read that before. I didn't even know about it. And I'm so glad I read it. It was one of the best novellas I've ever read, if not the best. And I'm so grateful. It's amazing. Tessa Dare knocked that one out of the park. But the other books in the series are really good as well. I will say really quick, just because the first three were all rereads for me, but Any Duchess Will Do was a first time read. I thought I had read this before, but about 50 pages in I realized that like I definitely hadn't. This book is definitely a trope, but Tessa Dare takes it like to the extreme, and I just want to say I respect you, Miss Dare, for your willingness to go with the social differences as strongly as you did in this book. Probably not believable, but beautiful. So those are my big overarching thoughts on these books, and if you've read them and have any opinions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, or if you want to recommend any books that are similar or other Tessa Dare books or anything like that, you can do that as well. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!